Picture a factory that has been operating continuously for 40 years. No holidays, no scheduled shutdowns. No maintenance staff ever stepping onto the floor. The machines never rest. Conveyor belts roll endlessly. At first, production looks strong, output is steady, profits seem fine. But slowly, friction builds where no one is looking. Dust gathers in corners. Gears grind slightly louder. Waste accumulates behind walls. Nothing fails all at once. It degrades quietly until one day a single part breaks and everything comes to a halt. That factory is the perfect metaphor for the human body on a modern eating schedule. From the moment we wake up, we eat breakfast, coffee with sugar, a mid-morning snack lunch, an afternoon pick-me-up dinner, something sweet before bed. The system never powers down, digestion never pauses, hormones never reset. And just like that factory, the damage isn't obvious at first. It builds silently, beneath the surface, until symptoms appear years later. Most people click on videos like this because they want to lose weight. They feel heavy, tired, inflamed, or uncomfortable in their own body. That goal makes sense. But weight loss is not the real story here. It's the smallest and least interesting outcome of what's actually happening. The real transformation takes place at a level you can't see in the mirror, inside your cells, your hormones, and the systems that determine how fast you age. Every time you eat, your body receives a message. That message is simple. Resources are abundant. Build, grow, store. Insulin rises to shuttle nutrients into cells. Growth pathways turn on. Repair pathways turn off. This is normal, briefly. The problem is that in modern life, that signal never stops. The body remains stuck in a constant state of construction without ever entering maintenance mode. Construction without maintenance always leads to collapse. Proteins become damaged. Cellular waste accumulates. Mitochondria, the tiny power plants that generate energy, lose efficiency and begin leaking harmful byproducts. Inflammation rises, energy production falters. This isn't inevitable aging, it's biological overload. The body isn't wearing out, it's being denied the time it needs to clean itself. Aging is often framed as a slow, unavoidable decline. But biology tells a different story. Much of what we call aging is actually accumulated damage that was never repaired. The body has built-in systems designed to fix this damage. These systems evolved over hundreds of thousands of years. But they only activate under specific conditions. Those conditions require the absence of food. This idea makes many people uncomfortable because modern culture teaches us to fear hunger. We're told hunger is dangerous, that missing meals will slow metabolism or cause muscle loss. But hunger is not an emergency, it's a signal. A signal that once meant it was time to switch metabolic strategies, not panic. When you stop eating for a stretch of time minus 16 hours, 18 hours or longer, the body doesn't immediately thank you. At first, it protests. Headaches appear. Irritability rises. Focus drops. The stomach growls aggressively. This feels like something is wrong. But it isn't. This discomfort is simply the sound of adaptation beginning. For most of their lives, people run on one fuel source, glucose. Sugar from food enters the bloodstream and provides quick energy. It's convenient and efficient, as long as it's constantly available. The problem is that when glucose disappears, many bodies don't know what to do next. They've forgotten how to use their backup system. That backup system is fat metabolism. Your body stores enormous amounts of energy as fat, enough to fuel survival for weeks or even months. But accessing that energy requires a hormonal shift. Insulin must fall. And insulin only falls when food stops coming in. Think of glucose like a refrigerator in your kitchen. It's easy to access. Open the door, grab something, eat. Fat stores are like a deep freezer in the basement. Packed with supplies, but harder to reach. If you never go downstairs, you forget where the key is. The early discomfort of fasting is simply your body remembering how to walk down those stairs. Around 12 to 18 hours without food, liver glycogen becomes depleted. This is the stored sugar your body keeps for short-term needs. Once it's gone, insulin drops significantly. This drop is crucial. Insulin acts like a lock on fat stores. When insulin falls, the lock opens. Fat begins to flow out of storage and into circulation. The liver converts some of this fat into ketones, a clean, efficient fuel source, especially for the brain. Ketones cross the blood-brain barrier easily and provide stable energy. This is why many people report mental clarity during fasting. This isn't a modern biohack, it's ancient biology. For most of human history, food was unpredictable. Humans didn't eat 3 meals a day. They went hours, sometimes days, without food. When that happened, they didn't become weak and confused. They became sharper, more focused, more alert. They entered hunt mode. Once energy needs are met through fat and ketones, the body realizes something important. It finally has free capacity. Digestion is paused. Nutrient processing slows. Hormonal noise decreases. And with that space, the body activates repair systems that are normally suppressed. The most important of these systems is autophagy. The word literally means self-eating, but that description is misleading. Autophagy is cellular recycling. Cells scan themselves for damaged components, break them down, and reuse the raw materials to build stronger, cleaner structures. During autophagy, misfolded proteins are removed before they cause damage. Dysfunctional mitochondria are dismantled and replaced. Cellular debris that contributes to inflammation is cleared away. This process restores efficiency at the most fundamental level of life. Autophagy cannot run while food is present. Eating shuts it down. Even small amounts of calories interrupt the process. That's why constant grazing prevents deep repair. The cleaning crew can't work while the building is full of people. Think of autophagy like overnight janitors in an office tower. They vacuum floors, fix lights, remove trash, and repair damage, but only after everyone leaves. If the office is occupied 24/7, the mess accumulates. Fasting empties the building. This repair process is one reason fasting is associated with reduced inflammation. Chronic inflammation is the root of many modern diseases: heart disease, diabetes, arthritis, neurodegeneration. By clearing damaged components and reducing metabolic stress, fasting lowers inflammatory signaling throughout the body. Fasting is an example of hormesis, the concept that small temporary stress makes systems stronger. Exercise works this way. Cold exposure works this way. Fasting works this way. Comfort does not build resilience. Challenge does. One of the biggest fears around fasting is muscle loss. This fear is understandable but misplaced. Muscle is functional tissue. It is expensive for the body to maintain, but also essential for survival. Fat, on the other hand, is stored energy. During short-term fasting, the body prioritizes burning fat while preserving muscle. During fasting, levels of human growth hormone rise dramatically. Growth hormone protects muscle, supports fat burning, and aids tissue repair. Adrenaline and norepinephrine also increase, keeping the body alert and capable. Evolution would not design a system that weakens you precisely when you need strength to find food. Muscle breakdown occurs during prolonged starvation, not controlled fasting. There is a critical difference. Short fasting windows signal adaptation. Starvation signals emergency. Confusing the two has caused unnecessary fear around fasting. Beyond the body, fasting profoundly affects the brain. Levels of BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, increase during fasting. BDNF supports neuron survival, growth, and connectivity. It enhances learning, memory, and emotional resilience. This neurochemical shift explains why many people experience mental clarity while fasting. With digestion paused, blood flow and energy availability shift toward the brain. Ketones provide steady fuel. Distractions fade. Focus sharpens. Contrast this with the mental fog that often follows large meals. After eating, the body diverts resources to digestion. Blood sugar spikes, then crashes. Focus drops. Energy dips. Fasting removes this roller coaster. Fasting also benefits the gut. Constant digestion stresses the intestinal lining. Over time, this can increase permeability and inflammation. Periods without food allow the gut to repair itself, restore barrier function, and rebalance the microbiome. As gut health improves, nutrient absorption becomes more efficient. Immune signaling stabilizes. Mood often improves due to the gut-brain connection. These changes are subtle at first, but powerful over time. Another major benefit of fasting is improved insulin sensitivity. Insulin resistance develops when cells are constantly exposed to insulin. They stop responding effectively. The pancreas compensates by producing more insulin, worsening the cycle. Fasting reduces insulin exposure. This gives cells time to reset their sensitivity. When eating resumes, nutrients are processed more efficiently. Blood sugar control improves. Fat storage becomes regulated instead of excessive. Improved insulin sensitivity affects cardiovascular health. Lower insulin reduces sodium retention, which can lower blood pressure. Triglycerides often decrease, HDL cholesterol may increase. Over time, arterial health improves. Fasting also impacts the immune system. During extended fasts, old immune cells are cleared and replaced when eating resumes. This renewal improves immune responsiveness and reduces autoimmune overactivity. Psychologically, fasting builds resilience. Learning to tolerate hunger teaches the nervous system that discomfort is survivable. This reduces impulsive behavior around food and stress. Fasting also resets reward pathways in the brain. Ultra-processed foods overstimulate dopamine systems, creating cravings. Periods without food normalize sensitivity, making simple foods more satisfying and reducing compulsive eating. Many people worry fasting will slow metabolism. In reality, short-term fasting increases metabolic rates slightly through increased norepinephrine. The body becomes alert, not sluggish. Metabolic slowdown occurs with chronic calorie restriction, not intermittent fasting. Sleep quality often improves with fasting. Late-night eating disrupts circadian rhythms. Extending the overnight fasting window stabilizes melatonin production and improves sleep depth. Fasting also simplifies life. Fewer meals mean fewer decisions, less planning, less stress. Mental energy is freed for more meaningful tasks. Over years, these small benefits compound. Reduced inflammation, improved insulin sensitivity, enhanced cellular repair. Together, they slow biological aging. This leads to a critical distinction: lifespan versus healthspan. Lifespan is how long you live. Healthspan is how long you live well. Most people spend their final years managing decline. Fasting compresses that decline. Research consistently shows that organisms exposed to caloric cycling live longer and healthier lives. They maintain mobility, cognition, and independence longer than those with constant intake. Fasting is not deprivation. It is rhythm, eating and not eating, activity and rest, growth and repair. Biology thrives on contrast. Modern culture promotes constant consumption. But health in an age of abundance requires intentional restraint. Fasting is one of the most accessible health tools available. It costs nothing, requires no equipment, and works with the body, not against it. This is not about extremes. It's about consistency. Regular periods of rest allow the body to express its full potential. Weight loss happens naturally when metabolic health improves. But the deeper reward is vitality, sustained energy, mental clarity, and resilience. The body is not broken. It is overwhelmed. Remove the overload, and function returns. Fasting gives the body what it has been missing: time. Time to repair. Time to reset. Time to remember. And when a system remembers, everything changes. When the body finally enters repair mode, it does not rush. Repair is deliberate, methodical, and intelligent. Cells prioritize the most damaged components first, addressing inefficiencies that have accumulated over years of constant stimulation. This process is quiet. You don't feel it happening. There is no dramatic signal, no flashing alert. Yet beneath the surface, systems that have been neglected begin functioning as intended again, restoring order where chaos once lived. One of the most profound changes occurs at the mitochondrial level. Mitochondria are responsible for converting fuel into usable energy. When damaged, they leak reactive oxygen species that accelerate aging. Fasting triggers the removal of dysfunctional mitochondria through autophagy, making room for newer, more efficient replacements. This improves energy production while simultaneously reducing oxidative stress, a key driver of chronic disease and fatigue. This mitochondrial renewal explains why people often report sustained energy weeks after adopting fasting, not just during fasts, but throughout the day. The system becomes more efficient. Less fuel is required to produce the same output. Energy becomes stable rather than spiking and crashing. Another deeply affected system is hormonal signaling. Constant eating blunts hormonal sensitivity. Leptin, the hormone that signals fullness, becomes ignored. Ghrelin, the hunger hormone, becomes dysregulated. Fasting reintroduces periods of hormonal silence, allowing receptors to regain sensitivity. Over time, hunger cues normalize. Appetite becomes trustworthy again. This restoration of signaling has psychological consequences. Food decisions become calmer. Cravings lose intensity. Eating becomes intentional rather than compulsive. The constant mental noise surrounding food fades, freeing attention for more meaningful pursuits. Fasting also influences gene expression. Certain genes associated with longevity and stress resistance become upregulated during fasting states. These genes improve cellular defense mechanisms, enhance DNA repair, and increase resistance to metabolic stress. In essence, fasting shifts the body into a survival-optimized state that favors long-term function over short-term comfort. This genetic shift is one reason fasting appears to slow biological aging markers. Telomeres, the protective caps on chromosomes, degrade more slowly when metabolic stress is reduced and repair pathways are activated. While fasting does not make humans immortal, it measurably alters the trajectory of aging. Importantly, fasting does not isolate benefits to one organ. It is a systems-level intervention. The liver becomes more efficient at detoxification. The pancreas experiences reduced strain. The cardiovascular system benefits from lower inflammatory load. The brain gains resilience. Few interventions influence so many systems simultaneously. Contrast this with pharmaceutical approaches, which often target single pathways. While medications can be life-saving, they rarely restore systemic balance. Fasting works upstream, addressing root causes rather than downstream symptoms. Another overlooked effect of fasting is improved metabolic flexibility. This refers to the body's ability to switch between fuel sources smoothly. Metabolically inflexible individuals experience energy crashes when meals are delayed. Flexible individuals remain steady. Fasting trains flexibility, making the body more adaptable to changing conditions. Adaptability is the hallmark of health. Fragile systems break under stress. Flexible systems absorb stress and grow stronger. Fasting cultivates flexibility at every level of biology. Over time, fasting reshapes body composition. Fat mass decreases while lean mass is preserved. This improves insulin sensitivity further, creating a positive feedback loop. Movement becomes easier. Joint stress decreases. Physical confidence improves naturally. The immune system continues to benefit long after fasting periods end. Reduced inflammation lowers the frequency of illness. Immune responses become more proportional rather than overactive. This balance reduces the risk of autoimmune flare-ups while preserving defense against pathogens. Fasting also interacts with circadian biology. Eating windows aligned with daylight hours reinforce natural rhythms. Hormones synchronize more effectively. Sleep deepens. Recovery accelerates. This alignment multiplies the benefits of fasting without additional effort. As these changes accumulate, people often notice a shift in identity. They no longer see themselves as someone constantly fighting their body. Instead, the body becomes an ally. Trust grows. Consistency replaces struggle. This psychological shift may be one of fasting's most powerful outcomes. When behavior aligns with biology, willpower becomes less necessary. Healthy choices feel natural, rather than forced. Fasting also exposes the emotional relationship many people have with food. Boredom, stress, and anxiety often masquerade as hunger. When eating is paused, these signals become clear. Addressing them directly reduces emotional eating long-term. Over years, this clarity compounds. Emotional regulation improves. Stress resilience increases. Food returns to its proper role as nourishment rather than coping mechanism. Culturally, fasting challenges the narrative that constant consumption equals success. It reframes abundance as a test of restraint rather than indulgence. In this sense, fasting is not just a health practice, but a philosophical stance. The modern environment is engineered for excess. Health now requires intentional countermeasures. Fasting is one of the simplest and most powerful. As fasting becomes habitual, its absence feels more disruptive than its presence. Meals feel earned. Hunger feels informative rather than threatening. This inversion signals metabolic healing. The body no longer panics when food is absent. It adapts. Longevity is not about avoiding death. It is about preserving function. Fasting preserves function. When function remains intact, independence lasts longer, mobility persists. Cognition remains sharp, quality of life extends closer to the end. This compression of morbidity, reducing years spent in decline, is the true promise of fasting. Modern medicine keeps people alive longer. Fasting helps them live better longer. The simplicity of fasting often invites skepticism. Powerful things are expected to be complex. Yet biology favors elegance. Removing excess often produces greater results than adding interventions. Fasting removes noise. The body responds with clarity. This clarity is not dramatic. It is stable, sustainable, and deeply transformative. When viewed across decades, fasting alters life trajectory. Disease risk shifts. Energy availability changes. Identity evolves. The earlier fasting becomes habitual, the greater the compounding return. But it is never too late to begin. Repair pathways respond at any age. Cells do not judge history. They respond to current conditions, provide the conditions for repair, and repair occurs. The body is not fragile, it is adaptive. What it requires is opportunity. Fasting creates that opportunity. Not through force, but through absence. And in that absence, biology remembers itself. Disclaimer: this content is for educational and informational purposes only and does not constitute medical advice. Fasting may not be appropriate for everyone, including individuals with medical conditions, a history of eating disorders, or those who are pregnant or breastfeeding. Always consult a qualified healthcare professional before making dietary or lifestyle changes. The creators of this content are not responsible for any outcomes resulting from the use or misuse of the information presented.